Good evening and welcome to the IRL F1 Tier 2, brought to you in partnership with gridfinder.com. I'm Mark, alongside me is Eden, as always in the commentary box. Eden, Singapore tonight, are you ready?
Oh, yes, I am ready. It's a fascinating race. I'll be honest, I'm more looking forward to commentating it than racing in it tomorrow night. But these guys, we're pretty much a full group tonight. I can't wait to see what they do. We saw a fantastic race last night in your league in IRL Tier 1. No spoilers. If you want to see that, check YouTube. But yeah, we saw a fantastic race last night. Let's hope we get similar tonight and these guys put on a good show.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. You know, the track is such a long track, but it's in this kind of cars good to follow. It is tricky to overtake, but I don't going to spoil anything as well. But as we have seen, wheel-to-wheel racing is definitely possible. So I am looking forward for this race tonight. And looking at the standings, Ellen, it's looking more close than ever. It's looking so close. You know, we got Michael Lutke in P1, but the last three races, he didn't get the results he would have wanted. I think
No.
the one who did got the results is Tirach.
Yeah.
The double win, amazing performance.
Yeah, Tirak has really stood out the last two races. He's the first guy this season to win two races after we were getting different winners each week. And I think what Michael Lucky has done well, though, is even though he may have struggled the last three races, he's made sure he still scores points, which I think is key. I think you need to be consistent. If you're not going to get on the podium, not going to win a race, if you can still keep those points coming in, that it'll go a long way towards a championship fight, and it shows there because Michael Lucky, yes, it's close now, but he's still at the top of that championship. He'll be hoping to score better points tonight, but it's much better than winning, say, two races at the beginning of the season and then DNF for the next three and then winning again. There's no consistency. So at least Michael is still managing to pull those points in. But tonight, I think it's a bit of a lottery, isn't it? Because unfortunately, anybody can be wiped out of this race or make a mistake, spin out, or even the weather could play a factor in tonight. So it's going to be fascinating to see who does well tonight and who can't cope with this type of race.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about the weather, I did a lot of races around Singapore, and most of them at least had rain somewhere during all the sessions. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And good evening, everyone who is watching. Good evening, all. I hope you are going to enjoy. Martin asked us to stop talking about the weather, so let's not do that. It's going to be raining, Martin. It's probably going to be raining. Nah, jokes aside, it's going to be a good one, I think. But the constructor standings, Adam. Have you seen those? It's like Merck is in the lead, 57 points, but the last race they only scored 4. Red Bull, 51. They are a little bit more stable, I would say. But then there's Haas. Haas is on the hunt.
Yeah, and I also really couldn't rule out the two teams behind Haas, and that's Aston Martin and Alpine. Yes, Alpine are only on 27 points, and they're 30 points behind Mercedes. But I'd say score well tonight, and they could be right up there. Mercedes struggled, didn't they? They had a real off day last week, and Red Bull, they've looked strong, but I think no disrespect to Tinas, but Tinas has been carried by Michael Lucky in the last few races to score good points. Tinas will be hoping that he can contribute more this week. And if you wouldn't mind, Mark, me just talking about Tinas, and I had the opportunity to sit and have a chat with him before the tonight's race, and we were just talking about basically how the season's gone for him, and he said stepping up to from F3 to F2 last season, he said the way it started scoring points, it was more than he expected, and he understands that he's not gone his way the last few races, and he feels like he's made some silly mistakes out on track, and he'll be hoping to rectify that. And he was talking of the constructors. I asked him about the constructors as well, where he was talking about how close the top four are in the constructors. With Merc having an off day, we've managed to reduce the gap, but you can't rule out the likes of the Harriman, Alpha Tauri, and Aston Martin behind. So as he's just saying what you were just saying, it is very close. And just the final thing I wanted to ask him about was this race tonight. And here's an interesting little fact that I didn't know. Tinas has never actually scored points around this track in IRL, so he'll be hoping, Mark, to rectify that tonight.
Yeah, he really would be hoping that. Never scored points. Well, I think it's a really nice evening to change that, Tinas. So I think it's a good evening to change that. So yeah, while you were talking, Adam, I was just having a look at the constructor standing, and looking at all the teams have people, have drivers who are capable of winning races. It is actually crazy if you think of it. It's looking a bit further down the grid order. The Ferrari guys. We've got Emke. Emke is so quick in quali, and Emke can deliver during the race, but he needs to get it together. For another example, Williams, Easty Mets. Easty is so quick, but in the race he just couldn't deliver so far. So I'm really curious to see what the likes of Easty, JSP, Kessa, Simon Palm, what all those guys can do tonight. The season for those hasn't started, in the best way possible, but it's still a long season to go, and Singapore could be a track where you can actually stand out. So
yeah, I agree, and I think you mentioned Easty Mats. He has struggled, hasn't he? But he did come home in second place last week behind Tarak, which was his real statement to say, I'm here, I'm in this league. So he'll be hoping to get another podium tonight. But as you say, those guys at the tail end of this league so far just have got a point to prove, haven't they? I just feel a little bit for MK because he's a one-man band at the minute. He's not had his teammate since Bahrain, and if yourself is struggling, you need to be able to rely on your teammate to bring some points in as well. Unfortunately, his teammate's not been here, so MK, when it's not gone right for him, Ferrari have struggled, and it's a shame for MK. And I'm hoping he can get things sorted with his teammate and Ferrari score some points. It's not good to see Ferrari down there with no points at the moment. They'll be hoping to change that. We're just about to load into the lobby, Mark. I'd like to ask you if that's all right about qualifying. Is it easy to get 3 runs in, or is it quite tricky? Because this is a long track, isn't it, in terms of getting out, getting in, and getting the preparation right for the fast lap, what you want to do?
Well, I think it is easy to get 3 runs in, but it's so hard to get 3 good runs in, because this track is so long and so tricky to nail all the sectors combined to each other. But as we're just loading into the lobby, I think it looks like good qualifying weather. It's I'm not sure what the race will be, of course, but so far the qualifying seems in good conditions.
It looks that way, doesn't it? And these guys will be breathing a huge sigh of relief that we've not got any wet conditions in qualifying so far. I've not heard anything regarding the race, but we've got some Alpha Tauris, I believe, coming out onto the track now. Yes, Simply's coming. Simply is going to be the first guy out there. So Simply and Kuipers, the 2 Alpha Tauri guys, going out straight away here on soft tyres, obviously.
Yeah, they're going out as well, both of the Alpha Tauris. So yeah, they just want to get it done as soon as possible, to get a banker lap and go out. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do, because we got Burmeister here in the chat saying he thinks Kuipers could be fighting for the win. I know they know each other personal in real life, so maybe Burmeister knows stuff and he knows Kuipers' pace. So it will be interesting to see what he can do in the Alpha Tauri. And Simply, well, of course we know he's not slow as well, so I'm looking forward to see what they can do in this qualifying session. But for now, let's ride aboard with Simply, as he is the first guy out on track, coming through well, one of the many tricky parts of this track. Onto the DRS straight. Here we go. He's driving around, being careful. And Devil is saying it has to rain one night, surely.
Well, I have an update. There
Oh
could potentially be rain at the end of the race. Potentially. It may or may not rain, but it's going to be dry at the start of the race. But we could see some rainfall at the end, which could really spice things up here, especially if these guys are on, say, worn hard tyres. It could be very tricky last few laps. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens if it does rain.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I'm actually looking forward for that. That's going to be good. That is really going to be good. But let's first focus on this qualifying session. We have all of that good stuff for later tonight. Simply has started in Sector 1. And he is really late on the brakes. Riding over the curb there. He wasn't bottoming out, so that's good. He got the setup right. Almost hit the wall, but just managed to avoid it. So far, it's looking good. It looks like he is really driving on the limit. Maybe sometimes a little bit over it. But it's looking good for him so far. At least he keeps it on track. That's the most important thing in your banker lap around Singapore. The worst thing that can happen to you is to get damage on the banker lap, because that would just ruin like your confidence, and that's the one key thing you need in this track. So simply in Sector 3 now. Let's see what he can do. The car is sliding a little bit. Maybe he has pumped up the tire pressures a bit more than he is going to do it for the race. Using a lot of curb there, and he crossed the line in a 38.3. And Kuipers a 37.6. That is a really good lap time.
That is a really good lap time. So I was just about to say, Martin is looking decent here. I don't know if he's going to dislodge Kuipers at the top, but Martin has had a decent lap so far for his first run of the night. He's going to come across the line in the last few corners now. Here we go. Where does it put Martin? Into second place. That's a decent lap there. It would have put him provisional pole if it weren't for very good lap from Kuipers. 38.1 for Martin.
Yeah, that's a brilliant lap time as well. But Kuipers 37.6. That's such a good banker lap. Let's ride aboard with Michael Lutke now, because he is our championship leader in Sector 3. Can he get close to the top guys? Let's see what he can do. Russman in P4 with a 38.9. Michael being a little bit careful now. And he is going into the pits, so that's not good for Michael. I think he just decided to abandon it. And Tirach, he was the man on fire the last two races. So what can he do? Coming across the line, and a 138 flat.
Nice.
Into P2.
I was keeping an eye on Easty Mats, but he's just gone into the pits. So Smoke is out there on a lap right now. The Mercedes driver. Be interested to see what he could do after a tricky race last time out at Silverstone.
It will be interesting to see what he can do. Can he get close to the 37s? He's coming up to the line and only 2 corners to go. Smoke in the Merc. What? Oh, that's close to the wall. Let's see what can he do. He crossed the line in a 38.8 in P6.
Yeah, not too far off his teammate, that is it. 6th and 7th place for the Mercedes guys at the moment, as we see Ginger Tiger now just jump. Sorry, apologies. Was that? No, it was Tinus. Apologies, it was Tinus that's jumped up into P6 with a 38.6. So that's a a good start for Tinas. He said he's not scored points around here. If he could get himself in and around that top 10, he'll have a very good chance of scoring points this evening. So yeah, it's looking like, Mark, after that first round shootout, that Kuipers is the man.
Let's see. I think on this track especially, there's like a lot of track improvement during the qualifying session. So if Kuipers can deliver during his next flying laps, we could even see him come close to the low 37s, I think. And that would be really, really impressive. But yeah, let's wait and see. It's going to be a close one. I'm sure of that, because Tirach, I think he can get a bit faster as well. And you know, the gap is only 3/10. The gap is only 3/10 between Kuipers and Tirach, and we have super fast guys in Michael Lutke, Emke, Eastimats, and many more, because all of our drivers are crazily fast, of course. They still need to do the lap.
Yeah, definitely. I was just having a look, and Kuipers actually hasn't been on the podium yet this season. He's got great pace, and he can clearly fight with the guys at the front, but unfortunately it's just, in terms of podiums and even wins, he's not been there this season. So Kuipers, if he's right up there tonight, then he can obviously change that little statistic and he'll be able to put a notch on there. But right now, the pressure still will be on him, because he's done a great first lap. He'll want to improve on that, but the next pressure then is to bring that home in the race, and that is a different kettle of fish when you've got the likes of Tarak and others behind chasing you down. I thought Tarak had a problem there, Mark, but he was just getting out of the way of some guys who potentially on a fast lap. I thought he'd hit the wall. He was running really slow and hit the wall, so Tarak's on his way again.
Right, good for him. Good for him. Meanwhile, Michael is on his second attempt of a flying lap, and so far he is looking clean again. Oh, that was close to the wall, but he just avoids it. He's onto the DRS straight now in sector 2. The wing is wide open for the Red Bull driver. What can he do? Ooh, that's close to a corner cut, but I think he's good. I think he's good. So let's see what he can do. This track, if you can nail the corners, it looks so good. It's so good to watch. It's such a flow and character. I really like to watch the drivers just, to use Renze's words, sail through the corners in a positive way. With Michael Lutke coming up to the line, and he crosses the line in a 1:38.2. Good lap from Michael in P4. That's a good effort.
And it's looking like an even better effort from Kuipers right now. He's a tenth and a bit up in the first sector on his previous lap. So based on that form, he may find another couple of tenths here. He's nailed pretty much every corner so far. He's not put a foot wrong. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him. I've done that enough to people so far this season. So how is he going to do it in sector 2? Is he going to be up in sector 2? He's 3.5 tenths up in sector 2. So Kuipers here, Mark, could be looking at a low 37.
That's insane. Only in his second run already. Let's see what he can do through sector 3. Let's follow him through. What can he do? Looking like this, he might be looking at the 37.2 or something. If he can continue like this, of course. Crosses the line in a 37.4. Wow. That's such a good time. And I tell you what, Ellen, this time would have given him P5 in our Tier 1.
Wow. Wow. And I think he could have gone even quicker. He actually lost time in the third sector. He was 3.5 tenths up. He crossed the line just 2.5 tenths up. So he lost a tenth in that final sector, which doesn't sound much, does it? But if he could find that sort of improvement in the first two sectors in the third sector, then who knows? I'm just keeping an eye on Tarak. Tarak is half a second up on his last time, which will put him in the 37.5 right now. He's in the third sector now. if you find a few more tenths here, Mark, it could be right on Kuipers, or even maybe dislodge Kuipers at the top. So Tirak is on a flyer.
Oh, he was so close by hitting the wall there, but I think he's still okay. Let's see what he can do. Can he challenge Kuipers for this pole position? Easy match into P2. In the meantime, and Tirak into P2. Oh, that's close.
Oof. That is close.
That is really close. That is really close.
I've just seen a decent lap there from Keza, the Alfa Romeo driver. That's just popped him up into P6 with a 38.2. There's a lot of guys, look, Mark, in the low 38s or in the 38.2s, and you find yourself a few tenths here and there. You find yourself jumping 3, 4, 5 places here. Look, you've got Simply with a 38.0, and then all the way down to, say, Joe Hamster in P10. There's only 0.3 of a second separating those guys. So this final run, what they'll be coming on shortly, it could be crucial here if you could make sure you don't invalidate or hit the wall or anything. If you improve, you're going to find yourself jumping quite a few places.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to find a driver who is doing a good job. And so far, I'm riding aboard with JSP, who just starts his lap. And he abandons it as well. So Tinas is up by 3.5 tenths in sector 3, and he jumps up to P6, 38 flat.
That's another guy, isn't it? It's in and around those positions I was just talking about. So you look at that now, and Smoke in P12 with a 38.3 to Tinas in to Simply in P5 with a 38.0. Wow, that is really close. And you've only got the top 4 in the 37s right now. Kuipers still sitting there, only just those sitting there. But I think Kuipers might have a bit more in the bag here. I think with that final sector of his last run, I think he might have an opportunity to potentially do a 37.2 here. And what can Tirak do? We've only got, 3.5 minutes left of this session. It's flown by this qualifying session. Who's going to get to pole position?
Eden here asking the real questions. I have no idea, mate. This is going to be... I have no clue who will take this. Burmeister knows. He's calling Kuipers the king of Singapore. So he is full of confidence, but it's going to be so close. And I think maybe Eastimats can join them as well. And this final laps, the guys can still do one more run. So the final laps will be so crucial and so important. I think if they can actually nail the lap time, we could be seeing like a 37.1 or 2 maybe. Maybe a 37.2 as a pole time. That would be my guess. Let's see, Simon is crossing the line now, and it will be a 38.2 into P11.
How many people are on the 38.2s there, Mark? That is absolutely crazy. I'm just keeping an eye on Emke. He's the only guy now who's not set a lap time. He's on a lap time now, so this will be his only run with 2.5 minutes left. He's not going to be able to get back into the pit, so he's got to make this count. He's just coming towards that tricky tunnel section under the grandstand in Sector 3. Few corners left for Emke now, the sole Ferrari driver this evening. What can Emke do? Can he get himself up and in and around that top 10 this evening? It's looked like a bit of a struggle this lap. It has. Oh no, it's put him up to P5. My times didn't change straight away, and that is in fact a very good lap from Emke, a 38.0. My times didn't adjust properly then. It gave him a time at the bottom of the table, but didn't actually move him until a delay. So yeah, a very good lap there from Emke into P5, and that's another guy in the 38.0s. These guys know how to keep it close, don't they?
Definitely, and if someone is Michael Lutke, he's on a 38.2. He is only just a little bit faster than his own time now, but if you can find like 2 tenths in the final sector, he might be jumping up to P4 or 5 maybe. You know, he's now in P11. That's how close the gaps are. And at the same time, we have Kuipers, Tirak, Eastie. They're all on the outlap. So yeah, I think this is the perfect moment to ask everyone who is watching now who will be the pole position sitter for tonight's race. Let us know in the comments. Let us know, because I think it's, for me, it's too close to call. It could be either of the top 4, I think.
So who are you going to keep an eye on, Mark? Tirak is already under. No, Tirak's not underway yet. It says he's on. He's not on an outlap anymore. But Kuipers is about to corner this out. Tirak is starting his flying lap now. So who are you going to keep an eye on for this final run?
I'm going to ride aboard with Tirak to see what he can do. I'm riding aboard with a Haas driver. He will the guy to attack the professional pole time of Kuipers. So let's see what he can do through sector 1. So far he looks clean. It looks really good. The DRS is open for him. Coming up to the first detection point. What is his delta time? And he is just a little bit slower than his own time. But only just. Is nothing in between it. So he's still on for a really good lap time.
I just want to ask, was Michael Lucky's jumped up to P4 with 37.8, but wow. I think, has he crashed out somewhere? Because his name is now greyed out, and obviously he wouldn't have got into the pits straight away, so I don't know what's really happened to Michael Lucky there, but he's into P4 anyway. I'm going to carry on keeping an eye on Kuipers while you keep an eye on Tirak, because Kuipers is going even quicker.
And Tirak is just going up to the DRS straight. But is he still on a hot lap? It is not looking really quick. I don't think this is a hot lap. Let's see what Kuipers can do. I think Tirak... No, Tirak is not on a hot lap anymore. He may have made a mistake somewhere. Tirak has spun.
Kuipers was... Oh, there's been a 5-place grid penalty. Jays... Oh, there's grid penalties galore flying out there, so I don't know what's happened at the end here, Malc, but there's big collisions somewhere on track. Kuipers is up. Can he improve in this final sector where he fractionally was down in the final sector? So, yeah, I think unless somebody else behind finds some mega time, this is pretty much Kuipers' pole position. What can he do here, Mark? Can he improve? Is he going to improve? Is he just going to bring it to the pitch? No, he is going to go for it. Can he improve? Can he get to 37.2s maybe? Here he comes. A 37.1. Mega lap there from Kuipers. I think that should be pole position.
It should be. It should be, because EC is abandoning his lap time. What a lap. That's an insane performance from the Dutchman in the Alpha Tauri. And again, just as a reference, a 37.1. That would have been... I think that would have been P4 in the Tier 1. Just to put it in perspective of what good of a performance this actually is. That's insane.
Talk about track evolution. Pointed out just what was it, a couple of minutes ago, Michael Lucky was in P4. He's P9 after all that. It just shows you the track evolution at the end of this. These guys all jumping up into the 37s ahead of him. So yeah, our championship leader, I wouldn't say it's the worst qualifying, but it's not ideal, is it? Down in P9, right pretty much in the middle of this pack, especially going through the first few turns at the beginning of this race. It's going to be tricky for him.
Yeah, he is right in the middle, and yeah, that is going to be tricky for him. But yeah, wow, I got to say, what a performance here for Kuipers. Really, really impressive. And he takes the pole position for the Singapore Grand Prix. Tirak, after the 2 really good races, he is in P2 and looks pretty strong again as well. Martin, strong performance for the Alpine driver in P3, Simply in P4. Ginger Tiger takes P5, EC in P6. Smoke and Russman, both of the Merc drivers, P7 and P8. Michael Lutke in P9, our championship leader. Emke P10, Tinas in P11, and Joe takes P12. Kessa 13 and JP in P14, but he will have a 10 position grid penalty, so he will be at the back. Simon P15, 16 for Trems, Sunboy in 17 and JSP at the back, but also Sunboy with a 5 position grid penalty. Wow.
I don't know what's happened there. JP, 10 place. I'd love to see the onboards of that. I saw all the penalties flying up, but they must have been tripping up over each other trying to get track position maybe for the final run. I can't think of any other reason why
Well,
that would have happened.
just a little bit of information. I believe his wheel disconnected, and I think the two of them, Sunboy and JP, had a little bit of an incident there because of the wheel of
Oh, that's a shame.
JP. Yeah, that's a shame. That is a shame. And what Renz is saying, the race is going to completely feel different. I think it is, and I'm wondering if, like the fastest guys tonight in the qualifying session, did they put on like a qualifying setup? Or is the setup suited for the race as well? Because there's a big difference in the setups, what you actually want in quali and what you need in the race. So that's one to keep an eye on for me. And Daryl is guessing 4 safety cars tonight. 4, mate. Wow. That's a lot.
We're going to be here all night, I think, with 4 safety cars. It's a long enough race as it is. Never mind with 4. Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be. You know, the safety car. I don't think I've ever seen a race around Singapore without a safety car. So the chances are very big for one. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Luke, yeah, his wheel disconnected. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is for him. And for Sunboy as well. Because he will be starting at the back too, because something which is not his fault. But yeah, let's see.
We won't be having formation lap as well either this evening, similar to the other leagues at the moment. Unfortunately, the game having issues, so we're not able to start with formation lap. So these guys have got to be on it straight away, haven't they? There's no time to prepare as such. All you can really do now is sit in your car, get your strategy right, get your fuel levels right, and then on you go straight into race mode. So you don't want to be caught napping with no formation lap on, because you suddenly find yourself 5-6 places down and in a lot of trouble. But there you go. The session countdown timer is on the top of the screen now. We're going to get underway shortly, Mark. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I'm wondering to see how many drivers start on the hards, who starts on the mediums. But hey, let's get ready. This is going to be the IRL F1 Tier 2 race around Singapore tonight, brought to you in partnership with gridfinder.com. And we are going to go to the grid in 3 seconds time. So let's see who can get a good start off the line. Here we are, the lights go on. 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we are underway. Oh, it seems like a bit of a messy start for T-Rex there. Oh no, it's actually not. It's I didn't see that correctly. T-Rex into the lead of this race. And Kuipers falls down to P3, but I think that's a bit of a messy turn 1. Hopefully everyone gets through it without any damage. We see Emke dropping down, and there must be something happening to him. Kuipers and Martin into the fight. They're going side by side. Martin is on the inside and he is in front, but Kuipers, he is looking racy. He wants to get the position back as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, our championship leader.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you there. There was a big incident there. I think it was Russman running into the back of, I think it was Joe Hamster in the McLaren.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's a shame. I think it was Russman. It was one of the Mercedes guys. Is there damage on his car? No, it's not. Was it smoke then? Let's see. No damage to that car as well. So one of the 2 Mercedes guys are really lucky to not receive any damage there, I think.
Just to give some information on tyres, Mark. Fascinating, the majority of the field have gone on hard tyres, with the exception of Simon Palmer, Russman, Trems, and now Joe Hamster, who's at the back, on medium. So the majority are on hard tyres here, which is an interesting call, because I was expecting at least one of the front 4 maybe to be on a medium tyre, just to try and get that initial launch and try and build a gap. But no, everybody at the very front at least on hard tyres. What can these guys like Simon Palmer and Russman do on the medium tyres? Simon Palmer is trying to make a move. No, not simply, he's lost it. Oh no. I don't know if he tagged the AlphaTauri, but Simon Palmer into turn 1 has spun round, and that drops him all the way to the back of the field. That's a shame there.
Ah, that's a shame for Simon. He was on the medium, so this was especially the part of the race where he needed to make it work. And now he's at the back in P18. It's going to be a difficult race for him now. Let's keep an eye on Russman. He's on the medium tires. He should have the advantage, especially in the traction zones. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting race. I think I got to agree with Rens. Anyone can win this. So, I think you need to be clean.
Sorry. Oh, Tinas. I don't know what happened with Tinas. I think he might have had a collision maybe with Simon Palmer, Enke, one of those guys at the back, and he's ended up sideways into the wall. I don't know if he's picked damage up or not, but Tinas down in 18th place now, and that's awful run of not scoring points around Singapore. Unless something dramatic happens in this race, is going to carry on for Tinas. Down P18 now, which is, yeah, they look like they banged several wheels there, and I couldn't really put my finger on who was at fault, but Tinas now in last place.
Meanwhile, I'm riding above with Trems, and he is on the medium tires, and he is so close to the rear of JSP, and I think coming up to the start-finish straight, if he can stay this close, he will try to get a move into turn 1. Let's see, can Trems actually get the move done in turn 1? How is the exit for him? It's decent, but I'm not sure if it's good enough. I don't think it will be. No, he's still behind JSP in turn 1. There's so many battles at the moment, and the guys are so close on track. Trems again, close again. A lot on JSP. But it is hard to overtake around here. You really need to commit. You need to have the confidence. And I think Trems is going forward now on the inside of JSP. And he gets the move done. Trems moves up to P10. Good move there.
There was a great battle between Joe Hamster and Sunboy down for position 14. And Joe Hamster, after his spin around early on lap 1, is now trying to work his way back into this race. He's into P14 now. He can see 3-4 cars ahead of him, so he can see the points positions ahead of him. So Joe Hamster not fully out of this race yet. He's still got an opportunity to score points, but he needs to make some place up and use those medium tyres while he can.
Well, it looks like he is trying to do exactly that, because he is closing them in, and the gap is only 3/10. He's got the better traction on those tires. So I expect to see a little bit of an aggressive driving Joe now, because, you know, you need to commit, you need to get a move done. Otherwise you just get stuck in the DRS train, and on the medium tires that's not what you want. You need to be gaining those positions. Kuipers with the fastest lap, and Tirag meanwhile doing what he's been doing the last 2 weeks. He opened up the gap already 1.2 seconds to Martin.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and if this is a preview of what we've already seen, Mark, then, well, Tirag is in a strong position. Martin is a bit of a, you just say, a DRS train now. He's got Kuipers, Ginger, Easty, Smoke, and Simply, and Russman all being a second of each other behind. So these guys being dragged along nicely. Michael Lucky, unfortunately, just not able to get onto the back of this pack at the moment. 2 seconds off in 9th place.
Yeah, and JP911 got a bit wide there, and Kessa, he was following really close, but just not close enough to get the move done because of the small mistake by JP. The gap is 0.4 of a second now, and I feel like JP might have been losing a little bit of time to JSP. So it will be interesting to see, because the gap is 0.9 of a second. If he drops out of the DRS range, it shouldn't be too hard for Kessa to get the move done, but it is interesting to see what will happen now. Meanwhile, at the front of this grid, there's also a so close battle for P3 with Kuipers, Jinja, ESC, Smoke. Simply, I just don't know what to watch at the moment.
It's difficult, isn't it? But one thing to point out is Kuipers is hanging on with his fingernails to the back of Martin, and he's actually dropped out of DRS of Martin now. Tarak with the fastest lap of tell a lie. Russman now with the fastest lap of the race, with a 42.8. But yeah, Kuipers has got it back under a second again, so maybe Martin had a slight mistake, but Kuipers was falling into the clutches slightly of Ginger. Ginger Tiger having a decent race so far. He has the most podiums of the season so far out of anybody with 3. So Ginger Tiger's definitely one to keep an eye on for podiums. But Kuipers is. I'm wondering if Martin's made a mistake somewhere in the last few corners, because it was 1.1 seconds between him and Kuipers. It's now 0.4 of a second, and Martin is now 2 seconds off track. So I believe Martin must have had a moment somewhere.
Yeah, let's see what Kuipers can do now with the help of DRS. Maybe a bit of ERS as well. I just had a quick scan, and I think all of the drivers in this group have around a similar level of ERS. I must say, I think Kuipers is sliding a little bit already in that twisty section. So maybe he is just pushing flat out to catch Martin, and the gap is starting to get a little bit bigger now to 6/10. But I think if Kuipers wants to get this done, he needs to attack now, because otherwise Tirach will just run away. You know, the gap is starting to build up slightly every lap, and it's already going up to 1.5 to 1.7 seconds now. And then if it continues on like this, in 2 or 3 laps it will be over 2 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. Tarak is looking comfortable at the moment. I've just flipped down to Russman. He's on those medium tyres, and he's kind of stuck now. He's got the fastest lap, but he's kind of stuck. He's got the better tyre on at the moment, but because the guys ahead of him are all just in this train of DRS straights and everything else, he's unable to really fully utilise this medium tyre. He's 4/10 off the back of Simply, but unfortunately Simply can defend us. We see a move there, Mark, between Kuipers and Martin.
Yeah, that's a good move for Kuipers. That is a really, really good move into P2, and now he needs to close down Tirach now. So let's see if he can actually do it.
The interesting thing as well, though, these two keep fighting the way they're doing. It's only going to help Tirach, and Tirach, when he builds that gap up, normally, well, from what we've seen this season, is quite difficult to close down. So Kuipers will be wanting to try and shake Martin off as quick as possible. But Martin's hanging on in there, isn't he? He's 0.4 of a second, so Martin not giving up on that second place right now.
Yeah, he is doing really, really good. So he's just driving a really good race so far. So let's see what he can do in the remainder of this race. Can he close down to Tirach now? What can Martin do? Can Martin actually hold on to Kuipers and maybe save a little bit of ERS while driving in his slipstream, using the help of the DRS to stay close? Medonate, meanwhile, in the chat is predicting Joe Hemster to crash out at lap 21. I will remember that, and if that happens, I will be blaming you, mate. So let's hope it don't come true for Joe. His race isn't the way he was planning to have it, I'm sure of that. So let's see.
Yeah, similar to Russman, Joe. Now he's managed to get himself into this race again after his spin, but he's now stuck. He's stuck behind guys on hard tyres, and he's not able to get moves done when he probably would, if he had clean air, would be quicker than these guys, because these guys are on the hard tyres, still trying to get them in the right window. But Joe just stuck at the minute, same as Trems as well. These guys on the medium tyres may slightly be regretting putting the medium tyres on. They'll be hoping maybe there's a safety car out, say around lap 10, and then they could just throw on the set of hard tyres and go to them. They've got a yellow flag. Oh, it's Tarak. Tarak's gone.
Oh, no. Is that damage to his car? Oh, he bumps the rear wing as well. If that's rear wing damage. Yeah. Oh, and the Aston Martin is round as well.
JP.
It's JP. Oh, a lot is happening at the same time. How is the rear wing of Tirach? If he got rear wing damage on this track, I think it's race over.
Isn't it? Yeah, he hit the wall quite hard as well, didn't he? When he was getting the car, trying to recover the cars. That is a shock. I assume he must have just lit the rears up maybe and gone. Oh, Trems has gone now. Trems. So the two Haas guys have lost it in what 3-4 corners here.
Oh wow!
Both the Haas guys were in good points positions. Now the pair of them are left.
And Tirach is in the pits now. He is in the pit. Let's see what will happen. What tires will he go to? Will there be a new front wing? Let's see what the Haas pit crew will do. Yeah, there will be a new front wing for Tirach. He go onto the medium tire, so he is committing to a 2-stop now. And he is out on track.
Oh
again.
no! Joe Hamster's just outbraked himself slightly and he spun Keza around. He was reeling Keza in, and Keza, I think Keza caught Joe Hamster out a little bit. He got his braking wrong, spun Keza around. That drops Keza down to P6. Unfortunately for Joe, I don't know if he's picked up any damage there, but it looked like it was his fault there. Keza was going into the corner. He only tapped the rear. It wasn't a heavy hit. He just tapped the rear, and it was enough to spin the Alfa Romeo round. So, yeah, that's unfortunate for Keza. That's dropped him down into P16.
Oh wow! I just missed that. Then that's unlucky for Keza. Then that is unlucky. But looking at Joe, he can still follow Simon pretty close, so I don't think there's any damage. And we see JP. Oh, there's definitely damage on that Aston Martin. The whole front wing is completely gone and destroyed.
Wow.
There's a lot
I was
of
going
debris
to say
there.
to you, Mark, how clean a race this had started off. And it's all gone crazy. As Emke now has lost it on the start-finish straight, and he's into the wall. The rear end is into the wall. Has he got rear wing damage as well? Emke, I don't know if he must have front wing damage maybe, but he rear of his car had hit the wall hard, so has he got rear wing damage as well? So, yeah, as I was just saying, this was a pretty clean start to the race, and then all of a sudden, in the last lap or two, it's just exploded. And amazingly, we've not had a safety car out of any of this.
Yeah, and I've seen Ginger Tigers getting closer and closer to Martin, and if I saw this correctly, I saw a little red light blinking on the Alpine car, and that means only one thing. That means he is running out of ERS. So let's see what Ginger Tiger can do. The gap is only 4 tenths now. Can he actually get the move done? I think he needs to wait for the start-finish straight, but there's definitely a big chance for him to get himself into P2. And of course, because of Tirach losing out, we've seen Kuipers back into the lead of this Grand Prix. Exactly where he started this race. Yellow is sector 2. Ooh,
unfortunately, it's Emke. Unfortunately, again, his race is pretty much dead now. Unfortunately, I'm thinking he may have. He's definitely got front wing damage. I think he's probably got rear wing damage as well. Just that car looks like a dog to drive, and he's just not been comfortable since he spun out. And yeah, this race is, unless there's a safety car now, his race is gone now for MK, unfortunately.
Well, chances of a safety car are pretty high at all the incidents we've seen so far. To be honest, but let's see. I just hope for a clean one from this part on. But it's a tricky track, you know, and with maybe the tires getting a little bit worn, mistakes are easy to make. So. Meanwhile, Ginger Tiger is still almost in the gearbox, but also Ginger is lacking a bit of ERS. What about Easty? Easty has got some ERS left, so Easty could be looking good for maybe to get an overtake to P2 maybe, if he uses his ERS at a clever way. And we've seen MK retire.
Yeah, I would say we've had his first retirement of the evening. And that's a real shame for MK. it's just been a really tough season for him. And as I said earlier, when he's the only guy fighting for his team and he retires out, then unfortunately it means 0 points once again for Ferrari in the constructors, and this season is starting to become a season to forget Benji, which is a real shame because he does have talent. He is a fast guy. It's just not gone well for him so far. So we've got a yellow flag in sector 3, but I don't see who that was for. I think it was for Tinas, because Tinas is running really slowly and Keza is onto the back of Tinas now. So Tinas in P30 as Tinas got damage. I don't know, but Keza is swarming all over the back of that Red Bull like an angry wasp. And Tinas, yeah, his car looks uncomfortable to drive. So Keza now putting the pressure on that Red Bull driver for P13.
Look at, talking about swarming across. Oh, here we go. Smoke onto the outside of ESTMS, and he gets the move done even before the corner. Wow, what a move.
Wow.
ESTMS had plenty of ERS, but he decided, I guess, to not use it because smoke.
Oh, wow. Simon Palmer and Joe Hamster banging wheels. One of them's got to yield here, surely. Simon Palmer's trying to hang it on the outside. Joe Hamster had the DRS. Simon Palmer's ERS light is blinking like crazy. Joe Hamster nearly got the move done round the outside of Simon Palmer, but Simon Palmer held it in there and is breathing a huge sigh of relief. But Joe Hamster really is looking like he needs to get this move done now because he's got somebody right behind him. Simon Palmer really struggling here. Can Joe Hamster do something down this straight now? It's quite difficult down here because it's a short run, and yeah, he doesn't get the move done here. He just wants to play it sensibly. Simon Palmer does go a little wide there, so I was about to say is there an opportunity for Joe, but no, and I think he's just going to have to follow Simon through here and then potentially get him on the next big DRS run. But this is also bringing somebody into this fight for P10. Simon Palmer looks like on those medium tyres he's really struggling.
Yeah, he looks to be struggling. Let's see what Joe can do on the start-finish straight. Luke Bailey says teams are going to go bankrupt from front wings. But in this rate they are, yeah. Joe so far is still so close behind Simon, but is he capable to do the overtake on the next DRS straight? It's such a hard track, you know, to overtake. The track can really bite you if you make a single mistake. He is closing in now, Joe. What can he do? He is going up to the outside. He's hanging around the outside on the curb, and there was some wheel banging. He is still there. He's late on the brakes. Oh, a little bit of oversteer for Joe, and Simon is still in front. Oh, that's good to see.
I was literally a carbon copy of what we had the last lap, as Keza has finally got past Tinas for P13. He was putting the pressure on the Red Bull driver, and Keza is looking at a recovery drive now after what happened to him early. He's now up into P13.
Yeah, good for him to get a move done. And Joe is really wanting to do the same, but he is still stuck. The gap is so close. He will be getting tired of seeing that Alfa Romeo rear wing now. He needs to find something. He needs to find where he can actually pass Simon. Because in this rate, the engine temps will raise everything. You can drive close to the cars on this game, but if you do it for too long. Oh, I will see Simon going into the pits. Oh, no. Oh, Joe completely outbrakes himself, taking out Simon, entering the pits.
I didn't see that, to be honest. I was keeping an eye on Ginger Tiger because Ginger Tiger is lining up a move for Martin here, not able to get the move done, but Ginger Tiger really close, like closest he's been to Martin all race, 0.4 of a second. And look at the gap Kuipers has built out at the front now, 3.4 seconds ahead of second place here. And Ginger Tiger putting the pressure on Martin, but this is also bringing Smoke into play. Smoke having a very good race so far. He's just quietly watching Ginger Tiger and Martin here, weighing up whether to get involved at the moment or just to let these guys get on with it and maybe pounce if a door opens for them. But yeah, Ginger Tiger really putting the pressure on the Alpine driver in P2.
Yeah, definitely. It's oh, it's interesting to see. By the way, I just seen this. Simon goes to the softs.
Oh wow!
Simon is on a soft set of tires, but he started on a medium. So I'm thinking, could this be a mistake by the pit crew?
Yeah, that's a strange one. I definitely can't imagine those soft tires going to the end from here. They will be crying their eyes out trying to do that. But Martin has recovered a little bit from Ginger Tiger, and he's built the gap back up to about 7/10 of a second. But if Ginger Tiger can get a little bit closer these next few corners and get to around 4/10 of a second, he might have an opportunity to attack the Alpine. But it looks like Martin has done a nice job of just relieving the pressure from the Aston Martin behind here, and it doesn't look like the Aston Martin will be able to get anything done. If anything, Smoke has actually gained on Ginger Tiger more this lap, so Smoke within 4/10 of a second. It's a nice little battle this for second place right now, and Easty Max and Simply, you can't rule those guys out either. They're all looking at the back of this Alpine as Kuipers is at the moment sitting comfortably in first.
Yeah, this is going to be a good battle, and I will keep an eye out for those guys. Meanwhile, Lewis is saying in the chat, Joe seems to have a vendetta against the Alfa Romeos. And indeed, first he had an incident with Kessa, and then with Simon. And Mac Luckby, hey Ryan, welcome mate. Simon is going to be furious. Yeah, and in all honesty, he got all the rights, so that was shocking. So Simon, a furious Simon on soft tires. That can only mean one thing. We can see some overtakes in the next couple of laps. I'm sure of that. But
I'm sure as well. I wouldn't be surprised, Mark, just sorry to interrupt, that we end up seeing fastest lap Simon Palmer flash up on the screen in the next few minutes.
No, I won't be surprised as well. On the soft tires, the only problem he might have is, well, two things. One, getting stuck in the DRS train. And the second thing is his tires, you know. The tire temps will be incredibly high, the tire degradation will be high. So he's only got a couple of laps to maximize those tires. So it will be interesting to see what he can do. He is closing down the gap to Tira pretty fast. But yeah, let's see.
Meanwhile, Russman is into the pits. He's had enough of those medium tyres. And this might be good for Russman here. He's going to come out in clean air here. So Russman will be able to just focus on getting those hard tyres up to temperature, getting himself into this race again. And who knows, Russman might be able to, there you go, right on cue, Simon Palmer, fast last. Russman might be able to try and jump somebody here. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3, and JP once again has had another issue at the back of the field. But yeah, it's looking like, for me at the moment, Mark, that track position is key here. It's difficult to overtake, so if Russman can get these hard tyres working nicely, quickly, and he can jump a few guys later on who are going to go onto the medium tyres, then he could be in a good position later on to score some really good points.
Yeah, definitely, and the undercut might work here as well. You know, even if the drivers who were around him earlier, if they can jump in coming out of the pits, they need to warm up the tires. So it will be interesting to see where he comes out when the other guys have pitted as well. And we've seen our second retirement of the evening, in JP retired his car in the pits.
It's just not been his night, unfortunately, for JP. So we've just got one sole Aston Martin left in this race, and he's just slightly falling off the back of Martin now. And interestingly though, Mark, Martin is actually started to gain on Kuipers. It was 3.4, 3.5 seconds. It's now 2.7 seconds, and right on board with Martin now. He can firmly see Kuipers ahead. So Martin, after seemingly struggling for a few laps and being under pressure, is now looking to try and reel in the Alpha Tauri car in first place. This race isn't over. It's far from over. I couldn't rule out anybody really within that top 10 at the moment the way it's going. These guys are all pretty close, and it only takes a mistake here and there. Look at Tarak early on the race. He looked comfortable, didn't he? Takes one mistake and you could be completely out of this race. So who knows? This race. Oh God, God. I'm riding on board with Smoke then. I'm making a lot of noise. I apologise. I was riding on board with Smoke then, and Ginger Tiger just went through that left-hand turn, Tokyo drift style. He held it really well. That Aston Martin was sideways, and I thought he was going to go round, but Ginger Tiger held it well there. I did see a yellow flag flash up then. Didn't see what it was for, Mark. Sorry about that.
I think it's for a Red Bull of Tines. Tines had a moment there. But you know what might be interesting in the next couple of laps? We got Simon closing down to Tirach. And if he gets a move done on that soft tires, look who is in front of Tirach. Only 2.5 seconds. That's Joe. Joe hit Simon coming into the pit, so it will be interesting to see how that battle will play out. And we got Smoke into the pits now.
Smoke's into the pits. Russman was only about a second and a half behind Smoke before the pit stop phase happened. So where this is going to be close, I think, between the two Mercedes guys. I think Russman might have struggled to warm his tires up fully because Smoke's coming out of the pit lane now. Russman's just coming on to the finish straight now. So yeah, Russman struggled, I think, a little bit on those hard tires, but he's not going to be too far behind his teammate. A couple of corners, what is it? Just about 5 seconds. So yeah, Russman, I think, has struggled this phase just to get those hard tires warmed up. But Smoke now, what can he do on those medium tires? Can he really make those medium tires work and get a really nice undercut on the guys ahead of him, like Ginger Hamster, for example?
Well, he needs to, I think.
Ginger Tiger. I apologise. I read Joe Hamster's name at the top of the screen then and combined the two people. Sorry about that. So we had Ginger Hamster and Joe Tiger, maybe. Ignore that. Joe Hamster has got a time penalty. Ginger Tiger is who I was talking about. So I'll correct myself there.
Well, I knew what you meant, so that's good. I knew what you meant. So I think, we see a yellow in sector 3.
Eastie's lost it.
Oh,
that's dangerous.
That was scary.
That was very scary for JSP there. And Ginger Tiger is into the pits now, so maybe he was gambling on a potential safety car. But that's surprising though. Eastie has not pitted. I thought he might have thrown on a set of mediums. He's tried to carry on and tried to recover this. So where is Ginger Tiger going to come in terms of Smoke here? Ginger Tiger's creeping towards the edge of the pit lane. I think Smoke and Ginger are going to be close here. I think Ginger is just going to be ahead of him here. No, he's not. Ginger is not ahead, so Smoke has got the undercut worked. Fantastic job from Smoke. That he'll be delighted.
Yeah, that's really good for Smoke, but he used all his ERS doing that. He used it all up. So the ERS is empty for Smoke in the Mercedes, and Ginger Tiger has some spare ERS, so it will be interesting to see. And the guys in front, I think Kuipers needs to pit now. He is losing too much time.
Yes, I agree. What can with Smoke flying along on those medium tyres? Who else can he get ahead here? He's definitely going to get ahead of Eastie Mats now after his mistake. But is the opportunity here for him to jump simply in P3, or maybe even Martin in P2, because these guys are staying out on the hard tyres? What is Kuipers going to do here, Mark? He's staying out for another lap.
Oh my! He might be throwing away the lead of this race here. But Martin is staying out as well, simply too. Michael Lutke as well, so it's going to be interesting to see, but this can play out really good for Smoke here on the medium tires, also for Ginger Tiger. You know, if those guys can bang all these laps now, they will be they might be in the lead of this race.
Simon Palmer has just overtaken Tirac for 13th place on those soft tyres. I think that's took him a bit longer than he probably would have liked. He's now 5 laps in on those soft tyres. So next up is Joe Hamster, but it's 4.2 seconds now behind Joe Hamster. So maybe those soft tyres are already starting to go away for Simon Palmer.
Yeah, I'm afraid they are. 6 laps already on the softs, and yeah, the softs. I think you can do like around 10 laps on them, but it's you will suffer in the last couple of laps. But just as a reminder, because I almost forgot about it, we might see some rain at the end of this race.
We might, yes. That would be absolutely fascinating. And these guys who are on the medium tyres, I think, would be in a better place than the likes of Russman on hard tyres. Who knows? I'll be excited to see if we do see some rain. That would just really spice it up, wouldn't it? We've had all sorts of jobs. So I've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Kuipers is staying out. Martin has lost it.
Oh no, Martin! Oh no, that's so unfortunate.
Wing damage.
Got wing damage. Oh, and he's going right in the way of JSP there.
Oh dear.
That's the second time in a row JSP gets a car right in front of him coming on the track.
To be fair to JSP, I think he handled that really well, to be honest. It could have been massively off-putting. For
Martin with a 5-second penalty as well.
Oh no.
Oh, it's going from bad to worse now.
Oh, it has. And this has been superb in terms of talking of smoke, because Easty Matt's had an issue who was ahead of him. Now Martin's had an issue who was ahead of him. Smoke could be on here for at least a podium place here, maybe even better. Smoke is absolutely flying on those medium tyres right now. He's reeling in Keza, who's on 19-lap-old hard tyres ahead, 1.2 seconds ahead. Martin comes back out in P14. That is a real shame. From P2 to P14. This is what I was saying, Mark. One mistake, you could be in a prime position, and suddenly you could be down in P14. It's as easy as that round this track, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And we see Tirac trying to get a move on Simon, but he couldn't do it just now. But he's trying to do a bit of a switchback move here. He's on the outside. There's no room there for Tirac to be. So he's at the moment at the back of Simon still, but the tires for Simon will drop off. And thinking about the rain, Adam, could it be that the top drivers are trying to stay out and they are thinking it might be rain that hard that they will need to change to inters?
That is a good strategy, and that could be the reason why Kuipers is staying out, because he has not pitted once again. So you could be right there, because Smoke now, I'm just keeping an eye on him, he is completely stuck behind Keza here, and that has allowed Ginger Tiger to get involved as well. So Smoke needs to try and get the move done on Keza. But yeah, you could be right here. These guys could be aiming for trying to put on a set of injuries at the end, but here comes Smoke around the outside. He's going to get the move done into turn 1. That'd be very brave if he can get it there as Keza slams the door shut. He's got to try and get this done sooner or later. He's going to lose heat loads of time to the guys ahead of him. He's got Ginger Tiger putting all sorts of pressure as well on him behind, but Smoke now, with the little bit of ERS he's got left, the DRS activated as well. Can he get the move done on Keza now? Surely Keza has no answer here with his worn hard tyres, but it looks like Keza is going to hold position, and he does. And here comes Ginger Tiger around the outside of Smoke. Where's Ginger Tiger come from here? That is an incredible move from Ginger Tiger. What a move that was. That really surprised me. I didn't see Ginger Tiger coming, and in the space of a couple of quarters, Smoke has gone from looking like we've got another issue. Easty Mats has gone again on the bridge. Front wing's gone. He can't turn the car around. He's completely stuck. Safety. Is that safety car? It's a safety car. We've got a safety car.
Oh my, it's a safety car. And Alan, it is raining.
Oh, wow.
It is raining on track and a safety car. This brings all the people back into the race now. Now I have honestly no idea what will happen. Oh, Russman, 5-second penalty, ignoring a yellow flag. And
yeah, that's unfortunate. This game can really punish you when the safety car comes out, because And Kuipers is on Inters.
He's on Inters. I was about to say that, mate. Kuipers went onto the Inters tire, so he thinks it's going to be raining quite a bit now.
They're all going on Inters. What
Oh,
does Smoke do here? Smoke's in on the pits. They're all going in for Inters. So this rain, what was predicted, must get quite a bit more intense here. So this gamble for Smoke on the medium tyres has not quite worked. But yeah, they're all going on Inters. Is it going to be heavy enough for Inters? It doesn't look too bad at the moment. But by the end of the safety car period, are we going to get significantly wetter?
Yeah, it could be, and this has completely ruined the strategies of Ginger and Smoke.
Yes, it has.
They were looking to be near to the lead of this race, and now they're in P7 and P8. It ruined the strategy completely, and everyone who did a stop goes on to the Inter tires. So that plays it out pretty evenly, you know. Even if it's a mistake, everyone makes the same mistake, so no one would gain from it. Renz is saying in the chat, he thinks he is watching Survivor, all the people that were eliminated just come back to face their old rivals. Yeah, it looks like it, mate. But
what this is, the person, this is, sorry, this, you talk about disadvantage for Smoke and Ginger. What an advantage it has been for Michael Lucky. He's not really been in this race, has he? And now he finds himself in P3, in position on intermediate tyres. This could be a fantastic race in the end. As what? Joe Hamster has been disqualified.
oh wow, I'm not sure what happened to him, but I know it's not been his evening. He's been in a number of incidents, and now a disqualification. That's not good. But what about the full AlphaTauri 1-2?
Wow,
It's
that's going to bring him right into the constructors' battle, isn't it?
Yeah, it will. And one thing I'm noticing right now, and I think the reason I notice it is because I might be Dutch. It's a full Dutch podium at the moment.
It is. It really is. We'll have to get the national anthem playing at the end, Mark.
Well, let's see what the guys can do when the safety car comes in, of course. JSP, same for Michael Lutke. He just stayed out and he got himself into P4. Sunboy as well, all those guys who stayed out are now on the advantage. And Tines is on the softs.
Wow, that's brave.
He is struggling though.
Because it looks very wet out there right now. And these guys were right to be putting on the intermediate tyres. That rain has really come in, hasn't it? From a few spots, what we saw, to what, a few laps later, you can tell it's definitely intermediate weather now. And this is interesting because even though these guys are on intermediate tyres, there's no guarantee you're going to still be comfortable in these conditions, are you?
Oh, sorry, Tines just lost the car. Tines lost the car on the soft
I am not
tires.
surprised.
He needs to pit now.
It looks very wet.
He needs to pit now. It's way too wet for these softs. Way too wet. He made a mistake there. Surely he was going into the pits now. And he's got some time because Trems is also quite a bit of time down on Simon. Oh, and actually a nice thing to know, Kuipers and Simply are friends since the day they were born, according to Burmeister.
Oh, that's nice.
So
That's lovely.
that will be an interesting one too. Oh, Tina's retired.
Did he retire? He retired in the pits.
He retired in the pits.
So yeah,
Okay.
hopefully we at the end of this lap get underway and we get some spicy rain racing here. I don't know how to call this now. You've got the guys at the front, but this is only adding another factor. This race has been chaotic enough as it is, hasn't it? Never mind with these conditions now. And I can't call it. You could still even say Smoke and Ginger might even have a chance of a podium because who knows what's going to happen in the last. There you go, safety car in this lap. 8 laps left of this race, Mark. This is really going to get interesting.
Yeah, and what about Renz saying he would have gone to the wets if he was on P1? Could it be that maybe the full wets will be on the track in a couple of laps? We don't know, but just before this is going to start, if you enjoy this race as much as we do, please make sure to sign up for the channel, you know, subscribe, leave a like to the video, it can massively help us out. So if you enjoyed, please leave this like, and please leave a comment on in the stream as well, where you say what is your prediction for the top 3 of this race in the last 8 laps. Let us know what is your prediction, and we are going to watch this restart. When will Kuipers go to the throttle? It's so difficult, because if you go too early, you might have lost the rear, but he is doing it perfect. Oh, a little bit of a tag stepper there, but he is still in P1, simply following really close behind. And then there's a little bit of a gap to Michael Lutke.
All very, very nervous, isn't it, right now? They don't want to be making a mistake here. As Keza is trying to move on JSP, and Keza gets the move done on JSP. So Keza now, after being spun round by Joe Hamster early on, Keza is looking strong for a podium here, because he's all over the back of the Red Bull of Michael Lutke. As you see, Tirak has had an issue. He's dropped right down the order into P14. Keza leaving it late on the brakes. Can he get a move done on Michael Lutke? He does.
Wow.
And Keza, in 2 corners, has jumped 2 places. P3 for Keza. Great move.
That's a great move from Keza, and he is feeling really good in this weather, I think. And what will the 2 AlphaTauri guys do? Will simply sacrifice his own race just a little bit to let Kuipers drive away now? It could be that he is just going to defend against Keza, try to keep him behind, and meanwhile giving Kuipers the best opportunity to get the race win. And Simon gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting.
Wow.
That must
On
have
a
been
track
a big
like
corner
this,
cut.
yeah. I'm not sure.
Safety car.
Simon Palmer.
Safety car.
Yeah, Simon Palmer and Easty Mats. I think they've had an issue. Easty Mats is struggling to get the car turned around. Simon Palmer was also facing the wrong way as well, so I don't know if they've had an issue. But that's a shame we've got another safety car, because this was just starting to really get into it in the last few laps. I don't want another safety car from BS. I want to see these guys racing in these conditions. And yeah, this is all this is doing really, is giving the guys ahead 3 laps to get to the end of the race, you know. And but just going back before we had the safety car map, what a start it has been for Keza. This race looked almost done for him at one point, didn't it? And now he's in P3, what he was putting the pressure on simply.
Yeah, it really is. And Trems is going into the pits. Is he going to get Tirach as well? And Simon, are they going to get full wet tires here?
I think Trems maybe have got wing damage.
Yeah. I think yes.
That is a problem. Trems is sat in the and
no.
look who he's holding up. The double stack is holding it up, and this is also
Simon.
holding Simon Palmer. So they're all stuck in a big queue. Simon Palmer must have been sat there a good 10 seconds waiting for Tirak to get into his box. That was a real mess in the pit lane there. Really frustrating for those guys outside the top 10.
Simon must be so frustrating. First he gets knocked in the rear by Joe, and then this happens. It's oh wow. And they all went to brand new intermediate tires. There's only 6 laps to go. They will need to get back as soon as possible, because I think we will have we'll have 1 more lap behind the safety car, I guess. So let's see what the guys can do. And we have a restart of this race again, and I think in a lap or 2 time. And well, what can Kessa do? On the previous restart he was so fast. Can he do it again?
Yeah, Michael Lutke, for example, just did not look comfortable, and you could see the confidence Keza had, and he got the move done quite easy in the end. Michael Lutke tried his hardest to hold position, but yeah, Keza, if he shows that sort of confidence in these conditions, then who knows, if he could get a jump on simply as quick as possible, then potentially there's a race victory on the cards here. But like you say, you'd imagine simply might be doing a bit of a job here and trying to help his teammate out to win this race. What are we going to get? What, 3-4 laps after this race? Because the safety car is not coming in this lap, so we're probably going to get about 4 laps, aren't we? 5 laps of this race left of racing. Let's hope we don't see any more incidents.
No, it's going to be a sprint race. It's going to be 1 sprint race to the end of this race. And it's impossible to predict. who will going to win this race. It's Simon and Easy Match. They both have a time penalty, and that's going to be really hurting them. It's Simon got 13 seconds and Easy Match got 8 seconds of penalty, so that's quite a lot as well for both of them. And with the safety car, Easy Match in the pits.
Pitted again. Is he putting on a set of wet tyres?
I don't know.
Or has he had another issue on track and he needs a front wing again?
I'm looking at his
no,
pit stop.
Yeah. He's actually waiting for 5 seconds, so he's serving his penalty and he's putting on another set of intermediate tyres. So maybe he's coming just to wipe out that penalty.
That might be a clever thing.
Because he was sat for 5 seconds. That comes out of the pit lane now. So yeah, I think what he's done is to try and wipe out that penalty. He's still, I think he'll still have. Did you say he had 8 seconds? So he'll still have 3 seconds, but it reduces it, especially if some guys ahead crash out now. He'll have a better chance of scoring points compared to, say, Simon Palmer, who's got 13 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah, definitely. And this is very clever to do if he can get back to the group. He needs to get back to the group. If you can't make it, then it's might have been a bad call. But what is the safety car doing? Is it coming in at the end of this lap? I think this was around the point where we saw it on the previous one. So let's see, is the safety car coming in at the end of this lap? We will soon find out.
I really hope so. I want us to get back racing again now. These guys be chomping at the bit to get going again. There you go. Safety car is in this lap, and I do not think Easty Max is going to get onto the back of these guys. This, I don't know about you, Matt. This looks very wet now. Do you not think this looks almost full wet weather conditions now?
Yeah, it looks really, really wet. And well, Rens is just saying the same thing in the chat. The track is soaked. It might have been a good thing for Easty to go to the west just to try. You know, he's in last position. He's got nothing to lose, but he got brand new winters. But it looks really, really wet. So yeah, it's I'm not surprised if we see a couple of guys spin. Or maybe if we still see a pit stop to the full wets. You know, if the rain continues like this, that could be the way to go. But let's see, what can the guys do?
Oh, Michael, look, he's lost it.
No. Oh, that's so unfortunate for him. And that's a big gap behind Kessa now. That's a really big gap. Oh, the gap is over 5 seconds.
Smoke's gone off. It's too wet. This is too wet. They're going to have to pit for wets here. I think this is too wet. These guys are making too many mistakes. Quite a few guys into the pit lane. Yeah, Smoke's gone onto pit. This is too wet. This is too wet. Smoke's gone into for wet tyres. They're all going in for wet tyres now, Mark. This is way too wet.
Yeah, Kessa had a massive moment out of turn 2 of this, I think. And he just kept it on track. But I think Smoke is on the wets now, on the full wet. This could be really playing into his favor, because the guys in front, they need to nurse the throttle, like driving on X. It's
JSP's got off. He nearly hit the wall. This is opportunity for Russman to jump into P5, and Russman takes P5. These guys, like you say, they're eggshells right now. These guys are really tiptoeing around this track. Can the guys on wet tyres make this work?
Oh, but Kessa is enjoying life at the moment. He is so fast behind Simply. He is pushing him around the track. Oh, he is really pushing him. And Burmeister says, Martin!
Oh, Martin and JSP have crashed out.
Oh, no. Safety car again.
Oh, my God.
Safety car again.
Now, isn't that a massive relief for the guys at front? Because they're all going to pit in. But obviously Smoke will stay out here. But if Smoke's close enough here, can he take the lead of this race potentially? Or even get himself on the podium?
I don't think he can, mate, to be honest. On the podium maybe, but not through the lead, I think, at least.
Because if the wet tyres, they're coming in for wet tyres, Simply's going to have to double stack here. Because the pair of them are going to have to come in for wet tyres. Simply can't drive too slowly because he's going to hold Keza up. So, Yeah, there goes Kuipers into the pits. So just Simply, they're all coming into the pits. That's
Oh
Simply.
no! Simply just needs to double stack now.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. Simply needs to double stack. So Keza should jump Simply here because of the double stack. And where's this going to put Simply? Russman is... Wow, this is a gamble, Mark. Russman stayed out on Inters.
And it could be what Burmeister is saying in the chat. He thinks tire temps might be an issue as well at the start of the restart. You know, maybe the tire temps were not where they should be, and well, we all know it's really easy to spin out then. Ginger Tiger and Russman both stayed out. Oh wow, with Kuipers behind them on wet tires, and I think we will have around 3 laps to race.
Look at Smoke. Smoke's got ahead of Simply, and he's right behind Keza now. So that has worked out nicely for Smoke there into P5 now, right behind Keza. But Ginger Tiger and Russman have stayed out on intermediate tyres, Mark. I think that's too big a gamble.
Yeah,
I think they're
so
going to pay. The only thing I can think of is they're seeing that there's not many laps left. If this safety car stays out for at least one more lap, they've basically got 2 laps to survive. But I still think it's gonna require something astronomical, I think, for them to keep the car on the track. It looks too wet, so Kuipers should, in theory, breeze past them. And if these 2 guys at the front struggle, then there's opportunity for Kuipers, Keza, Smoke, Simply, all them behind to steal a podium place.
Yeah, but you know the one thing which is more difficult than overtaking around Singapore is overtaking a struggling driver around Singapore. If someone
in the wet.
In the wet. So if someone struggles in the wet, they are trying to keep the car on track. You don't know where they go. So Kuipers needs to get through safely and clean. Because otherwise Kessa will do it. Or Smoke. Or Simply. Or anyone. I have no idea what will happen now.
You have to give a mini round of applause to Darrell Whiffin. He almost picked 4 safety cars. We've got 3 of them. We're very unlikely we're going to get any more now. We're on lap 28. But yeah, it didn't look likely, did it? We were going to get 1 safety car at one point. These guys, even though there were incidents and front wing damages, the race was still racing pretty straightforward, and it's just exploded, hasn't it? So we're getting another lap of the safety car. So can Russman, you were thinking about Simply maybe doing a favour for Kuipers, can now Russman do a favour for his teammate Smoke behind here, and somehow Mercedes could score really big points? I still think this is going to be one hell of a job for Russman and Ginger to hold those first and second place positions.
Yeah, I think it's too difficult to do it. I think they will lose out massively, unless there's another big incident at the restart. But yeah, let's not hope for that, of course, but let's see what will happen now. Yeah,
that's a good stat what Renz has just said in the chat. All 5 tyre compounds have been used tonight. And how often do we get to see that?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And what is Martin? Oh, welcome, mate. Welcome in the chat. Is just saying the intermediates are dropping to 40 degrees in that weather. He'd be amazed if the front 2 don't crash. Oh, wow.
Wow, that sounds incredibly tough, and it sounds like an almost impossible task for these guys running at this speed as well behind the safety car. They're going to have to really tiptoe around the final few corners when the racing does get underway. Surely we're going to get underway at the end of this lap now. Everybody's, apart from Simon Palmer. Simon Palmer's lost it at the back of the field again, so Simon Palmer is pretty much, he was anyway in terms of the time penalties, but that's pretty much his race done for tonight. So yeah, we hopefully be getting underway, Mark, shortly. We have a 2-lap dash to the finish line.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see, and I got to say, Kessa looks really comfortable in the wet conditions on the inters, on the wets. So yeah, this is, I don't know who is going to win this, and Burmeister saying he hopes the front 2 are humble. Well, let's see what will happen. It's going to be a restart now, and it's going to be 2 laps, 2 racing laps to decide this Grand Prix, and anyone could win this. anyone in the top, I'd say top 6 could win this, you know. Maybe even after the top 6, because everyone's so close and you need to have a clean run. So let's see. Let's ride aboard with the top guys now. What can they do? When will Russman decide to go on throttle? Oh, and Ginger is going a little bit slow now. He left a bit of a gap. When will Russman go? Will he go early or late? He is waiting. He is still waiting. I think he is going now. And we are underway for the final 2 laps of this Grand Prix. Oh, and Kessa already going on the side by side with Kuipers into turn 1. Kuipers running really wide. Kessa is still up there. Oh, the AlphaTauri almost in the wall. Oh my, Kessa into P2. So Kessa overtook Ginger and Kuipers now. Kessa into P2 on the full wets and he is closing down Russman. Smoke got in front of Kuipers as well. JSP retires from this session. I'm struggling to keep up. Kessa in the lead of this Grand Prix. Kessa is in the lead of this Grand Prix.
I'm keeping an eye on Russman. He can't keep it on the track. He's literally tiptoeing around the corners. He's got his teammate right behind him now, and I think his teammate just needs to let him pass. So Smoke needs to get past here. He's going to end up holding up his teammate Ginger Tiger down in P5. Keza, he gets this right now. He'll win this race.
No.
He's 2 seconds left. Oh, Smoke's gone. No.
Smoke is gone. Russman and Ginger Tiger on the Inters are still in P2 and P3. But Trems, could Trems get a podium here? Trems going on. Oh, he has a much better exit, I think. Trems into P3, overtaking Ginger Tiger.
How is Russman still in second place? I'm riding on board with him, and it looks like the worst conditions possible. Ginger Tiger's lost it.
What is happening?
Those Inter tyres just do not like these conditions, do they? As Trems, look at Trems, look. Russman is almost walking pace here. He cannot keep that car on the track. Trems is pretty much pushing him away. Look at the gap to Keza from Russman now. 6 seconds. That's how much he's struggling. And there goes Trems for second place. Russman is hanging on here. Can Russman hang on for a podium? It seems unlikely.
What about Tirach? He is up for a podium as well, I think. He is going to do the overtake now on Simply, or at least he's trying to. He thinks better of it. Oh, well, we see Simon Palmer run really deep and almost hit the rear of Tirach there. Oh, and Simply had a big moment and lost the car. Russman P3, Simon into P4 somehow. Simon Palmer is into
Simon's
P4.
had a mistake. Simon's just had a mistake. This is opportunity for Tirach here. Simon's just gone very deep. He had to get on the brakes. This is doing Russman a huge favour here. These guys are struggling, but Russman is massively struggling now. Can he hold on for P3? This would be a hell of an effort if he holds on for P3.
Oh, wow. And Simon has some time penalties, but Tirach will be... He needs to get a move done to be able to close down to Russman, but I think it's a bit too late. And Simon goes for the move.
Simon, no.
It's a brave move. It runs deep. He runs deep, and Tirach... He is so close now, and Simon with time penalties. I think that's Tirach on the podium.
It will be Tirach on the podium. I thought that was a bit naughty from Simon there, if I'm being honest. I need to see another onboard, but for me, Simon's all out of shape. This is opportunity for Tirach. Simon, I think, kind of took Russman off a bit, but Russman obviously was struggling anyway. Simon is going to gift Tirach a podium here with those penalties, but just moving back to Keza, Mark. Look how far ahead he is. 7 seconds. Coming around the last few corners. He's been phenomenal in the wet.
Yeah, he really is. And I will go switch to Kessa now. And Simon and Tirach are so close. But I need to switch to Kessa now because Kessa has come to the last corner. He gets a 3-second time penalty, but it doesn't matter too much for him.
He'll be fine.
He gets the race win. That's an amazing result. And Trems, he will be delighted with a P2. A podium for Trems. Simon is still in front of Tirach, but he has the time penalty, so they will be crossing the line. Simon will cross the line in P3, but he will fall back down. Tirach into P3, Russman P4, Easty No, it's Sunboy into P5. Easy Match P6 simply jumps up to P7. He must be kicking himself after the last 2 laps. Smoke in P8. And I think Simon, is he in? I think Simon dropped down to P10. Wow.
Wow. Wow. Well, I think the pair of us just need to have 5 minutes just to sit down and take all that in and have a drink. That was chaotic, but huge congratulations for Keza. At one point, he was facing the wrong way after a tap from the McLaren to winning the race. I can't wait to speak to him shortly in the comms box. Huge congratulations.
What on earth was this final few laps? This was amazing. And of course, congrats to the podium, guys. This was basically a lottery at the end. This was
look at that though, the Haas boys, 2 Haas boys on the podium, Mark. That is going to be massive for the constructors, isn't it?
Yeah, but what will happen in the stewards office? Because I think a couple of guys will run to the stewards after this race. But so far, this is our final standings for tonight. Keza takes the win. Now, after starting in P13, Trem starting P15 takes P2. Tirach after that recovery in P3. Russman takes P4. Sunboy in P5 after starting P17. We see some really good recovery drives here. Easy Match P6, Simply in P7. Smoke finishes P8. Kuipers in P9. Simon P10 with a final point. And well, Jinja and JSP didn't finish, but they still get classified. In the results, it's P11 and P12. Wow.
Yeah. Wow, indeed. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to speak to our race winner tonight. He's got to shoot off, which is a real shame because I would have loved to have heard what he had to say about his race and how it was going and how it ended up finishing. But we do get Trems in here at the moment. Hopefully, we'll get his teammate in Tirak shortly and he'll be able to have a chat with him. As well, we'll start off with Trems this evening. Where do we start? That was absolutely chaotic in the end. Did you expect to get a second place? How that ended?
I'm still shocked to myself. I'm still shocked to myself, man. I had to change my wing 3 times that race. I pitted and they didn't change my wing at first. So I was just holding on, begging, wishing for a safety car. And then it came, and then I think some people in front were on inters and I was on wets, and in the last lap, I think I made about 10 places, and I'm here.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. We could not believe how that race exploded at the end, and you took advantage superbly at the end. We saw Simon Palmer fighting with your teammate as well towards the end, but he had a massive time pad, so that was never going to affect it. But yeah. I think the key is just to survive that last few laps. Is a superb effort from yourself, and what is great, I'd say, is yourself and your teammate are on the podium, so that's going to be massive for the constructors.
Yes, come on.
Yes, come on, indeed, and we'll move on to 3rd place Tirak. Well, you was comfortable at the start of this race, looking like you was going to win this race comfortably. Then it went all pear-shaped. You didn't look like you were going to score any points at one point. Then the rain came, and then it got even wetter, and somehow you've ended up on the podium. Do you think you're feeling a bit luckier how this went tonight?
Yeah, of course, surely because of the rain. The lens predicted it, so it helped me a lot at the end. I was just trying to keep it on track with a lot of cars ahead and behind. It was really, really hard.
It looked really difficult, and I'll be honest, I don't envy the pair of you whatsoever. And I'll just quickly move back to Trems. We've got one more question. Unfortunately, we don't have our winner with us, so I'll ask you the question I was going to ask the winner. And after that chaotic race around the streets of Singapore, we moved to Suzuka, Japan. How are you feeling heading towards the Japanese Grand Prix next week?
I will feel a lot more confident than this week. I came back from holiday yesterday, so I had literally only a couple hours to practice. So I'll be feeling a lot more confident than this track, to be honest, a lot more.
That's good to hear. And Mark, we We didn't unfortunately get to hear from a race winner, but we've got 2 absolutely delighted Haas drivers with us. And after all that chaos, I think we probably need to rewatch that back.
Yeah, definitely. What a race that was. The whole race, from at the start, it was amazing, but that ending, just insane. It's just a chaotic ending. And Tinus is basically praying me in the chat to never talk about the rain anymore. Well, I have a think about it, mate.
Yes,
Wow.
please.
What a race this was. It's been amazing. And well, everyone who was watching right now, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you like this. It's been brilliant. So Invictus will be back tomorrow with our tier 3 at Singapore, and then on Thursday again with the Realistic Performance League. So make sure to tune in as well for some more good and clean racing, hopefully. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good evening, and bye bye.